Advanced Health Sciences Psychology B, Virtual Interactive Notebook 4, Personality. Day 3 is Erickson. Today's essential question: what is psychosocial development? The main idea and the subtopics I put not applicable because we're going to record a chart in your notes. Now, this chart is important. As you take psychology classes in college, or if you take the advanced psychology class, you're going to need to know Erickson's psychosocial stages of development. And so this will be your first exposure to that. And I want you to write down all 8 of the tasks. So you're going to create a chart where you have 8 separate items. Then you have the ages at which those psychosocial challenges have to be met. And then you have the tasks themselves. These are the challenges that have to be met. And then a description of the challenges. I have included, if you go to today's lesson, you're currently looking at the video, and then below that it says use this table to complete your chart. You can also look at chapter 11, section 3 of your book. I have a link in there for you to go there. And you will see this chart. So I'm going to flip over there and go through the chart with you. So Erickson was a neo-Freudian, which meant that he did psychoanalysis on people. And as he was doing psychoanalysis, he noticed that people at different ages seemed to have a similar issue to deal with. And this is where the whole idea, apparently, of developmental stages comes from. So we're going to see Piaget and other stuff, that this stage theory continues. Barking dogs. So is it scientific? Well, he didn't exactly use a scientific method to test these things, but researchers still seem to take this seriously. I mean, this is still mainstream psychology, so these seem to be valid. Now, doesn't that mean that you can maybe get someplace without the scientific method? Don't tell a scientist. They don't like that. All right, so stage 1, 0 to 1. So you're born up to 12 months. Trust versus mistrust. So the infant will learn to trust that their basic needs will be met, or the infant will learn that basic needs will not be met. And we're not going to get into the consequences for most of these, but for Erickson, if someone was neglected as an infant, then their subconscious will be constantly looking to verify the idea that people don't care about them and are not going to take care of them, which is sad. All right, stage 2. Ages 1 to 3, autonomy versus shame or doubt. As a toddler is wandering around doing something, do they gain a sense of independence? Hey, I can do stuff and it'll turn out okay. Or do they learn to doubt themselves and feel shame because everything they do is wrong? It's not nice to think about either. Stage 3, ages 3 to 6, initiative versus guilt. Take initiative on some activities, may develop guilt when success not met or boundaries overstepped. This is an extension of autonomy versus shame or doubt, but now you're doing more complex things. Shame is when you feel bad because other people think badly of you. You don't like to be seen by other people as bad. Guilt is you feel bad about yourself. You're attacking yourself. So that's the difference. Stage 4, ages 7 to 11, industry versus inferiority. As you become more independent, do you develop self-confidence in your abilities, or do you develop a sense of inferiority? You can't do anything right. Stage 5 is where you are, identity versus confusion. You try out different roles, and you find one that fits or you don't. Now, what Erickson said is, if you achieve identity, then it has good psychological outcomes for the rest of your life. And if you don't achieve identity, you will feel like an alien for the rest of your life. Mr. Medlock did not achieve identity. So I do. I mean, I feel like an alien. I feel a good part of the time like I'm watching you, and I feel, what do these people do? How do I fit into this society? So for Erickson, that's because I did not achieve an identity when I was in high school, which, yeah, okay, maybe. Stage 6, ages 19 to 20, intimacy versus isolation. Now for Erickson, this is going to be controversial, but for Erickson, do you find a mate that you will spend your life with? So that's controversial today because, well, you know why it's controversial, right? That paradigm where society We design a society around the nuclear family where you find someone and have children. That's not necessarily what people do anymore, right? So there's some discussion in the psychological community, as far as I can see, about that. Stage 7, ages 30 to 64, generativity versus stagnation. Do you contribute to society, and are you part of a family? Getting more controversial. Finally, stage 8, integrity versus despair. So can you make meaning, can you find meaning in the life you've led as you approach the end, or do you despair? And my dad actually said this, because my dad's now, he's on the verge of elderly, and he says, a lot of old people just give up, and his goal is not to give up, right? He has a beautiful family that he can look back on, and for Erickson, that would be a big part of why you wouldn't despair, but again, that's now controversial. All right. So your output for today. How is stage 5 going for you? So if I was going to answer that when I was your age, I would say, look, I really don't know who I am. I feel like I don't fit in. I feel like an alien, and I have to watch these people and see what they do so I don't make any huge social mistakes. And that has stuck with me. It's gotten a lot better, but it has stuck with me. But maybe that's not you. And I hope it's not. And if it is, look at me. I'm gainfully employed. I dress myself. It's not too bad, right? Okay, thank you very much for doing day 3. I will see you for day 4 tomorrow.